Hello and welcome. Now today we're looking at another part of my portable Amiga 600 setup, and that is because I have been sent the FrameThrower 600. Now this is out for the Amiga 500, but it's not out for the Amiga 600 yet, and this is one of the test boards which Leigh Russ actually himself sent me. He's, if you don't know, the designer of the PiStorm. Okay, so just as a refresher to you, I have the PiStorm installed with its HDMI output, and I have the RGB to HDMI, which converts the signal from the Amiga's output to HDMI. So there's two HDMI outputs here, and I've used this adapter to switch between the two, and that's the output here. So we have this RTG output here, and this is from the output of the PiStorm. Now let's say, for example, if I load Octamed. That is an original Amiga resolution screen, so now this is going to freeze here and it won't load because it's loaded on the other output. So what I have to do is just go like that, and it switches the resolution, sorry, it switches the output into the Amiga resolution, so then everything works. Now quit this. I'll have to press this again in order for it to switch back. So it's got two outputs and I have to manually switch between the two. Now for those of you who do not know, the FrameThrower is an add-on to the PiStorm 600. You connect this to the Denise chip, you put it on the same way you do as the RGB to HDMI, and then you connect this into the actual Pi. So this is the PiStorm here, and this is the RGB to HDMI here, comfortably sitting on top of this perch. Okay, so we install the FrameThrower right on top of the Denise chip. Wow. Do you know out of... Is that on? Do you know out of all these type of upgrades, the ones that slide onto the chip, that one seems the best I've ever installed. Like, I've tried the Fury, I've tried the Vampire, I've tried this, I've tried, you know. So this is just literally the best one I've tried. You just push it in gently and it slips into place and sturdy. I love it. Normally I hate the chip installation because you feel like you're going to break the board and things like this. Okay, so of the Pi in the PiStorm, we need to connect this not into the display port, of course, because that's an output. We need to connect this coming out of the Denise and going into the camera port there. And this looks like I'm gonna have to twist this cable, which I really hate doing. And hopefully all that's good. Now then, Leigh said that I'm gonna have to put a line, enter a line in, since I'm using emu68. I'm gonna have to enter a line in the cmd line.txt on the partition on this command line.txt, in other words. So let's do that. Okay, let's change that. Okay, micro SD card goes in this diddly little slot. Come a long way from inserting floppy disks this way into computers, haven't we? Okay, so there it's come up as emu boot. There we go. So let's look at command line.txt. Okay, so basically all I need to add is unicam.boot and unicam.move, and it should work. Save that. Okay, so let's test this now. Oh my god, perfect. And it's like it's much faster and everything. This is perfect. So basically it's using the camera's input on the Pi. Nice. So, I thought it all was sorted. until I entered the early boot menu and also my other drive that's connected to the Amiga's IDE port. I sent a video message to Leigh, and after a back and forth with him that afternoon, we got to the underlying issue. Hi Leigh, just creating a video on this. I've installed it all here properly, and it works, but there's one part of it that doesn't work. Let me demonstrate. Now if I load a program that requires the Amiga's RGB output, that works fine. I've entered the line which you asked me to enter. However, when you try to access the Amiga's early boot menu, as you can see it very faintly. It's almost like it's got horizontal banding on it. Let me try to load a disk. Okay, so it loads, but with horizontal banding. I'm guessing that, this works fine with the RGB to HDMI mod. It works perfectly fine. I think it's just not activating before the PiStorm. So anything outside of the PiStorm, it doesn't really work through here. Kind of almost like it needs the cam boot and cam smooth to be at hardware level. Anyway, let me know what you think. Everything is working now as it should. I had the issue with what you just saw there, the horizontal banding. It turns out that I hadn't actually, wasn't on the latest version of MU68. So yeah, there was some fixes done in the latest update. Once I updated that and I installed the video core library, then everything was perfectly fine. And everything works, as you can see here, just as it should do. So you have, from here, it works, auto switching. And if you hold down both the mouse buttons to enter the early startup menu. Perfect. Everything is just right. One final thing that I need to do now is take it over to the workbench on the opposite side of the room and remove this and sort all this out. And yeah, we'll do that on the other side. And also I've switched the keyboards. Yeah, you'll notice it looks different because this keyboard's starting to act funny now. I think it's because this probably just needs a bit of a contact clean, because only like one part of the keyboard works. I couldn't reset it, so I need to sort this out. I think it's the connection here. I'm gonna contact clean it there. But anyway, off to the other side of the room. I've got the Amiga 600 here now on this side. So let's sort out what we're gonna do with everything. Now this HDMI switcher here is no longer needed. If you remember the last time how I deal with anything stuck down with hot glue, isopropyl alcohol. Somehow just completely dissolves it. There we go, the RGB to HDMI is free now. Let's put that to one side and remove this. Okay, so everything here is free now from the hold of the hot glue. Okay, nice and clean. Everything is clean and as it was before I even installed it. So we don't need any of that anymore. We have everything we have here. This is all there is. And the only thing I need to do is I have this coupler. And it's all clean here now as well. The only thing I need to do is just stick this coupler down, mount it there, So you be careful here because I don't want to block the IDE interface. Okay, so what I've done now is I've stuck this down with Milliput. You know me, I've, throughout all these 10 years of my channel, I've been a huge fan of Milliput, and no, not sponsored at all. I've just loved this stuff. Honestly, the real reason why I've not got this 3D printed is because I'm very impatient when it comes to things like this, and Milliput's just a quick fix, very easy solution that just gives you instant results. Well, not so much instant. I mean, yeah, it'll be ready tomorrow, but still more instant than designing it and then sending it off and getting it 3D printed. And you know something? It's a good solid solution. No pun intended. So I've had to re-solder and do this as well, despite having to actually hot glue it back on. This, it's such, the Amiga 600s is such a bad design. It's like design fault here. This thing, just make this turn longer. What if it cost you that much to just use the longer wires? Because every time you open the 600, you forget about this and you yank it. And it's so annoying. Anyway, rant's over. I've sorted this out. This is much nicer and much cleaner now. I would like to thank Leigh once again for sending me this, the FrameThrower. Not only sending me this, but also helping me throughout the setup of this. It was just a few things here and there, and it was pretty much straightforward. But I really like, I mean, I'm actually kind of officially testing the product for him now because it's not even released, as I said, but it will be. And as far as my testing is gone, it works fine as long as you update the the MU68. So there we go. Let's take this back over to the other side and test it. Like ping-ponging over here now. special thank you to my top tier patrons: Rich Garbett, Axel Dominator, Jason Marison, Corey Ostman, Mark Bosak, and Monochrome Minako. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it.